Hey, nice to have you back here in this new video. Today we're gonna focus on the RICOH THETA X, and we're gonna take the THETA X into some real-world shooting scenarios and give you my in-depth review on the RICOH THETA X in 2022. And I will also give you some side-by-side comparison between the THETA X, the Z1, the QooCam AK, and Insta360 One X2. These are all the mainstream dual fisheye structure 360 cameras can both shoot photos and videos at the same time. Before we get started, I just want to share with you the overview about the THETA X once again after a week's heavy-duty use on the THETA X, because now I have a better understanding on the camera itself. THETA X has similar size compared with the THETA Z1, dual half-inch image sensor that could capture at the maximum 11K resolution. This is first of its kind to perform 5.7K in-camera dynamic equirectangular stitching, high quality at the maximum 120 megabits per second. Most importantly, you should notice this time with removable battery, SD card, 2.25-inch large LED panel with built-in Android operating system, and the brand new plug-in ecosystem now has the support for the user interface. This is a standalone 360 camera that is capable to capture high-resolution photos as well as high-quality video. Everything makes the RICOH THETA X the most promising 360 camera in the year 2022. This is a great place to capture virtual tours for the clients. So let's test the THETA X, whether it is capable enough to deliver high-quality images into the virtual tour use cases. But more than that, I will also take the THETA X into some 360 lifestyle shooting, such as traveling, having dinner with friends, capture some night shot with challenging lights, and also some unique point of view, aka the Yujing style. In the 2022, is the RICOH THETA X any good? First thing first, let's capture this virtual tour with the THETA X with two different approaches. One of them is to control with the latest RICOH THETA app, which has a lot of improvement. Second, to control the THETA X with this touch panel and the Android operating system. But more than that, I will also share with you a lot of behind-the-scenes movie so that you can understand why I choose all this specific point of view. I intentionally placed the THETA X near the windows, where it's very bright outside and relatively dark inside. This is where the interior shot. Look at the outside. It's totally blown out if I didn't lower down my exposure. And coming next, I will use my cell phone, the wireless connects with my THETA X, because the living room is not that very hard for me to hide myself. Wirelessly control the THETA X with my phone. And I will also share with you the screen capture so that you can get familiar with the latest edition of the RICOH THETA app. The first time you get connect, tap the shutter button and register a brand new THETA X, because the software automatically detect the nearby RICOH THETA cameras. As you can find, it's detect my THETA X Connect. Tap on Connect. Now has been successful. Of course, how you choose with HDR rendering, export values set to 0, white balance auto, and the remaining capacity 6,000. Brilliant. 2-second countdown and turn it off. The ISO upper limit set to 100. Okay. Shutter volume straight to high because that's a good indication that it's been captured. And I will close the door because it's transparent. The bathroom is transparent. You see that? Okay, you see the THETA X. And I will hide inside this room. Okay. Upper limit. Sit near this place. Okay, this is where the photographer should stay when you capture the virtual tours. They're completely invisible in your final shot. It's really fast. The HDR mirror takes around 4 seconds. This is the result you get. 11K resolution, huge dynamic range. Brilliant. But the temperature looks a little bit cold. So next one, I will change the white balance to capture the better color for the interior. This is great. And if you capture at 5.5K, this is going to be even faster. Change this 5.5K. It is even faster. It takes around 1.4 seconds. Yes. Now I will use my THETA X to capture extra shot. I will also share with you my screen capture so that you get to know what I'm thinking about, especially how to decide the point of view. Watch out the reflection in the mirrors, in the glass. So I place the THETA X against the pillar where I can. This time I don't have to hide in that room because there is a hidden spot in the room. Can you see my arm? Yes. Hide that. Yes. And capture the shot with 11K resolution. Of course, with 11K, because there's plenty of light. Stand in between the TV set and the bedroom. This is also a great place. Don't forget this one. If you look at it in this orientation, the better place in the middle of the tunnel because you can see the depths of the scenery. Always think twice before you press the shutter button. This time I have to hide into the room once again. But yeah, because capture shot with THETA X is so simple and fast, I always capture twice every time. Next one, I think it should be in this place because if you look at in this orientation, this depth of field looks gorgeous. Take the photo, something is like a mission for your clients, but you should always enjoy the shooting. And don't forget, I have set the ISO upper limit to 100. Coming next, I will use the touch screen on the THETA X to capture some beautiful shots. But to save battery, turn off the Wi-Fi, turn off the Bluetooth. Place your THETA X just around the edges of the mirror. There's no reflections. You don't have to do the post-process, but we also capture all these beautiful shots. You see, do you get my idea? And don't forget to open the door as to give the viewer as much information as possible. And you can hide yourself just around the corner. The timer to around 6 seconds. 11K. Turn it on. Press the button. Okay. So I can hide in this place. See that? This is how I can place around the other edges. Because you can see more space in the bathroom. Take a look at that. You see that? So I think this shooting spot is better compared with the other one. And you can also live preview in the shot. And you can also change the white balance in case you want auto, not shade. Okay. Last one is to place your THETA in the middle of this bathroom because it's also very beautiful and you can even see some details outside the window. See the reflections, see the beautiful ring light, and this time you can open the door. You don't have to open. You can close the door. This time you can close the door, right? Or it will block your view. Okay. Everything was captured in 11K because in the virtual tour I shoot on the tripod. Plenty of light, plenty of time. So always capture in 11K if you can. This is why you purchase the THETA X. Okay, another interesting fact about THETA X is options for the TimeShift Shooting. You can hide the photographers. I should tell you more about that. Scroll from bottom to top. You can change TimeShift Shooting. Here you can see 2 seconds, 5 seconds because you have more options in the TimeShift in the interval menu. The first image can wait for around maybe 5 seconds. And the second one is also get extra 5 seconds. Even shooting with TimeShift, you also have the HDR shooting option, which is great. Tap the button. Stand here. Okay, move to the opposite side. Did you see that? So the first image be captured in the opposite of the screen. This is the front lens, where on the top of the screen is the rear lens. It's the second shot. The rear lens will also capture the photographer because you can see the rear lens in the TV set where the rear lens will definitely capture the photographer in the second shot. Sometimes in such tiny space, if you want to move back and forth, you probably will push down the camera by accident and it will drop your lens. So hide yourself is always the better solution for your final quality. The coming next, I will take different 360 cameras at a very challenging shooting spot with challenging light conditions to capture all this shot, and later I will share with you a website also with original files that you can compare the quality itself one by one, pixel by pixel. This time I will capture in HDR rendering mode, not handheld, but HDR rendering, EV0, white balance, SuperHDR 2.0, the 24 DNG stacking and merge, also with in-camera stage 8K resolution. Now let's give it a shot. I will use 10-second countdown, DNG on. Yes, and immediately after. Okay, 10 seconds. Capture the button. Let's hide myself in the bed. Okay. And that's it. Coming next, let's test the One X2. But for One X2, you have to merge in post with Studio Auto app. And JPEG plus RAW, Auto, 9-shot in bracket, and Explorer step is 1. Okay. Okay. It's saving. Here I do have some tips to share with you on the THETA X. The number one is, if you can, you should always use the touch panel on the THETA X, and also it's very reliable. You should turn off the Wi-Fi because it will overheat, you know. In this afternoon, I capture dozens of shots, Wi-Fi connect with my RICOH THETA app. In long-term capture, around 40 to 50 minutes. The moment the thermal shut down, the remaining battery still has 80% left. The THETA X just stopped working because it's too hot. Look at the spec sheet and found the reason. Because the 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz Wi-Fi output power is around 100 milliwatts. So the Wi-Fi module itself will generate a lot of heat. If you do want to master the TimeShift shooting, you should watch carefully about yourself, your reflections, your shadows. Everything about the photographer should be wiped out completely in your 360 shot. Coming next, let's go to the Teliportme where I upload all of my panoramas there to share with you the original resolution with the immersive experience. Here I have uploaded 3 different sets. The number one is the THETA X, the virtual tour comparison. So in this really challenging shooting spot, I will capture all these shots with different cameras, the THETA X, THETA Z1, QooCam 8K, and One X2. There's altogether 10 panoramas in this comparison because for the specific camera, I have export in different approach. Here you can see this is a THETA X in camera stage without post-processing. You see that. And this one is the THETA Z1, which in camera HDR rendering and in camera stage as well. And next one is the THETA Z1 HDR rendering 16-bit while export in post with Adobe Camera Raw. And the amazing THETA Z1 dual fisheye RAW plugin with 16-bit flow HDR DNG shot and export in Adobe Camera Raw and Stitch with Stitcher. So for Z1, there are 3 different approaches to get a high quality HDR image. And for the QooCam 8K, here is the first one is in-camera stage 8K resolution, where we can also make a comparison with the X and Z1. The second one also will be stitched with the QooCam Studio, but with in-camera JPEG straight out from the high-quality DNG file. And next one is, the QooCam could generate a high quality raw file and merge and stack in post, export a dual fisheye stitch in post. This is the result I get from the studio software with desktop workflow. And coming next is the Insta360 One X2. Definitely you can see this one is oversaturated because this is a JPEG format straight out from the camera. The One X2 tend to use the vivid color profile because they were designed to be action cam. Is try to create appealing colors to customers, but this is oversaturated for the virtual tour definitely. But lucky enough, with One X2 you can also create 9 shot in bracket that you can export later with the help of the raw development software. Here's another one. Use the Insta360 Studio to stack and merge all these 9 shots in DNG and export in JPEG and stitch, and that is the result you get from One X2. Here I'd like to share with you the latest update on the Teliportme design specific for the side-by-side comparison between different cameras. In this website, if you tab //1/2, now you can side-by-side comparison between number 1 and number 2 photographs. So you can compare with THETA X with the THETA Z1 HDR rendering. And if you change number 2 to number 9, well, you can actually compare this One X2 and the THETA X. And you can also zoom in close. 100%, you can see before and after. So you can see THETA X is definitely a winner considering its 11K resolution. Okay, let's compare with the 1/4. That is the THETA X versus the THETA Z1, the 16-bit dual fisheye raw with HDR DNG format. This is the best possible quality you can get from Z1. And this time, if you zoom in close, see the details before and after. So THETA X is definitely clearly a winner over all these cameras. You can compare every 2 of the panorama in this group. So this is a very powerful feature of the Teliportme platform. Okay, second is this THETA X virtual tour demo. I've added, uploaded all the shots in that luxury hotel from day to night to capture a lot of examples. For some of the photos, I've already shared with you in my previous video, but for some of them, it's still being kept a secret until you watch out this virtual tour demo. In this virtual tour demo, you can see everything uncompressed, unedited, everything straight out from the camera. Even I retain all the original file name. And I've also tried some really extreme situation with very low light. Here you can see on the outside, it's a night shot, but for the inside, with only a single light up a whole scenarios. You can also see the result. It's a really challenging situation. I think THETA X did an amazing job. One more thing to say, everything I've set the ISO upper limit to 100. Personally speaking, the THETA X is also a very powerful 360 camera for consumer, especially in travel, in dinners, to capture some 360 lifestyle shooting. Here you can see this is a really challenging situation. This is a night shot with crowded people. It's moving around. People moving around. It's really hard to capture the shot with high quality, but THETA X did a really good job. This is myself. And the resolution, just like this. Take a look at the detail. I think it's pretty awesome. And you can zoom in 100%, test out the quality and the dynamic range. And more importantly, I also share with some other stuff. There's a countryside hotel. Also, it's beautiful light with light and shadows. This is also a really challenging situation with people with high contrast ratio. And this is morning glory, very bright inside, it's dark outside. And, the people, the face, the skin tone, they all burn back really nice by the THETA X. So definitely check out yourself the THETA Virtual Tour Comparison Tool and the THETA X Virtual Tour Demo with dozens of secret panorama that you have never seen in my previous video. And last but not least, the amazing THETA X sample photos. I try to explore its full potential in our 360 everyday lifestyles. So how good is the RICOH THETA's video quality on the basis of these dual half-inch image sensors? Well, the THETA X could perform 5.7K at 30 and 4K at 60 fps in real time with in-camera dynamic stitching with stabilization. It is the easiest 360 camera for video that I've ever experienced in my life. I have uploaded several sample footage on the YouTube platform and also share with you in my Facebook account. Well, honestly speaking, the video quality is great for such small form factor, and all this video footage could be exported and saved in real time into the external SD card. So if you happen to use a UHS-2 standard micro SD card, well, you can export these videos lightning fast to your external drive. So all these design and features make the RICOH THETA X the easiest one among all the 360 camera designs. So this is the real standalone 360 camera. So you don't have to use a phone to complete the job. But you should notice that there are also some major drawbacks about THETA X. The number one is the quality of the stabilization is not as good as the flow state stabilization by Insta360 or the super steady by the Canon QooCam 8K. But you should notice that everything was done within the camera, so actually this stabilization is not comparable. The stabilization itself is much better compared with THETA V and THETA Z1. Considering everything was done in real time with dynamic stitch, actually the THETA X did a great job. Second one is the overheating. When you constantly record at the maximum performance, the 5.7K or 4K 60, over a long period of time, you're going to come across with overheat sometimes. But from my personal perspective, during winter outside, this is 0 degrees centigrade, I can continue record over 15 minutes without any problem. So I think the THETA X is pretty reliable in my personal use case, but the recording upper limit for the single clip is 25 minutes. So you should bear in mind that is the small limitation of the THETA X. Last but not least is some power consumption issues. You know, the THETA X is a really powerful one-shot 360 capture with an amazing computational platform in the camera. So when you capture at the maximum performance, you have to turn off the Wi-Fi and you have to turn off the client mode. That is to say, the THETA X was designed to be a standalone, a real standalone 360 machine that could complete at the max performance without the app. You have to manually trigger the button, considering that it's a very big semicircular button on the bottom. So you have to manually start and stop recording. And I do hope that in the future, the RICOH could add some extra control with the Wi-Fi or with the app, while at the same time suppress the total power consumption at a reasonable level. As we know, RICOH has always been a pioneer in design and engineer a 360 camera in the industry from the very beginning. And after the heavy-duty use on my RICOH THETA X, I also come across with several surprisingly interesting design in the detail, which would definitely help you make your better decision on your 360 camera in the year 2022. The THETA X has a dual half-inch image sensors that is larger compared with the THETA S, SC2, THETA V. But this time, the RICOH didn't use a folded optical system. Instead, they used two individual lenses back-to-back on the basis of the aluminum heat dissipation zinc. This is definitely a revolutionary design in the RICOH's dual fisheye structure. Considering the THETA X has two individual fisheye lenses on the front and back, so now it is a lot easier to repair your broken THETA X. You can replace individual lens instead of the whole dual fisheye lens structure. So this is another proof of ease of use in the THETA X. Considering the THETA X has a much smaller optical system compared with Z1, but with similar size and shape, now we have a lot more space for other systems, such as the MIMO RF system. So this is a two antenna on the left and the right. So on this THETA X, the signal strength of the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth control, remote control, the performance is a lot better compared with the THETA V and the THETA Z1. Another detail in the devil that RICOH THETA X will shut down all the screen and LED lights during shooting. This is super helpful if you take your virtual tours in very low light situation. But the THETA engineer will shut down all the LED light during capture and relight them up after each shot. Number 4 is about the ergonomic design on the bottom of the THETA X. This is a THETA Z1. They definitely have a very nice shape, which is much more comfortable to hold in your hand on the THETA X. It's quite different from Z1. The Z1 is a rectangle, but this one you can see a beautiful curve on the side, and the design is also symmetrical. Considering the THETA X and the Z1 have similar size and shape, so the accessories designed for Z1 is now also compatible with the THETA X. So to speak, the leather protection case for Z1 is now also compatible with the THETA X. The leather case is perhaps the best accessory for 360 camera because the dual fisheye lens is very vulnerable in your content creation. THETA X has been equipped with in-camera dynamic equirectangular stage with stabilization. This is a great improvement and is one of its kind. That is to say, the THETA X could produce a 2:1 standard equirectangular projection in the standard H.264 MP4 format. That is a very friendly format for our post-process workflow. And it also makes the synchronization about the sound in post very visible in our workflow. This is my DJI wireless microphone system, the transmitter, with the internal recording capability at 48 kHz at 24-bit depths. This is a great companion with the content creation, especially you can synchronize in post. As you can see, now I'm vlogging with the THETA X at 5.7K, 30 FPS, in-camera, dynamic, equirectangular staging with stabilization. And you can also evaluate the in-camera stabilization straight out from camera. Everything was done in the camera. And I'm also recording with my audio with internal recording capability of the DJI mic wireless microphone system. This is also a great product that just released in the year 2022. And by the way, this is my ZV-E10, my main YouTube camera. Capture all this content for you guys. Amazing design, great detail. The THETA X is definitely very promising in the year 2022. But more importantly, the ease of use, the workflow, everything was done in the camera, make the THETA X one of its kind. The best standalone 360 camera ever in the 360 camera industry. But in the future, I do have a lot more expectation for the THETA X, which I will show you later on by the end of this video. Another interesting detail about the THETA X that it is the first RICOH THETA camera that uses the burst capture API in the continuous shooting mode as well as the multi-bracket shooting mode. Well, in the continuous shooting mode, this camera could capture 8 shots in 11K continuously in 1 second. And for 5.5K, you can capture up to 20 shots within 1 second and save all its data into your SD card. And in multi-bracket shooting mode, you can load up to 13 different settings and burst capture all this shot lightning fast. So this is a major breakthrough and will definitely make the THETA X a lot more useful for the HDRI, CGI rendering industry. From this point of perspective, the THETA X is a lot better compared with Z1 actually. We all have a lot more expectation on the RICOH THETA because THETA is one of the most promising camera manufacturer in the 360 industry. So RICOH THETA should consider to bring back the Handheld HDR, which is amazing feature in the THETA V and the THETA Z1. It is extremely useful for the everyday 360 shooters. On this RICOH THETA X, there are 2 different resolutions. It's 11K at the burst rate at around 7 or 8 FPS, or 5.5K with amazing 30 FPS burst rate. RICOH could bring back the Handheld HDR at the 5.5K burst rate that guarantee the best result straight out from the camera, and also the lightning processing speed. And second, if you've been familiar with the dual image sensor in the THETA X, this image sensor is capable to deliver staggering HDR video straight out from image sensor. 2 4K HDR video together that form a 5.7K with the chipset and ISP in this camera. So maybe in the future, RICOH could consider to add the staggering HDR video that with 5.7K resolution to take the full advantage of this half-inch Sony image sensor that deliver a much better quality, especially in the high contrast shooting scenarios. Another most requested feature on the THETA X is to bring back the RAW capability. The DNG format with 11K resolution. RICOH should definitely consider to bring back the RAW to the customers. In the first THETA Z1, everyone wants a standout feature, and RICOH finally made it. And number 4 is even better in-camera stabilization result that is comparable in between the flow state or the super steady on the other manufacturers. I know it's really challenging to execute such promising stabilization algorithm in the chipset, but I think RICOH should definitely consider and to make this miracle happen to our customers. Next one is about the Type-C connector. If this is an Android operating system with a Type-C port, maybe RICOH consider to design a USB-C dock that is compatible with the Android operating system that enable the external battery input or external sound input. And maybe in the future, this USB Type-C port could accept spatial audio input capture that makes this camera the best choice for content creation with spatial audio capability. And we also create user-friendly content for the VR headset. Maybe we could consider to design a lens cap, a leather lens cap for the dual fisheye lenses, and also a screen protector to protect the lens at the same time stop the reflections on the surface. Okay, finally, here is my conclusion on the THETA X in February 2022. This is the most promising standalone 360 camera in the year 2022 that could deliver the premium photo quality and great video quality at the same time. So before, we have never seen a 360 camera that could deliver a great photo and great video at the same time. So the THETA X is definitely one of its kind. Despite all these features, also have the in-camera dynamic equirectangular stitch with stabilization. The THETA X is definitely the proof from the Shinobu Fujiki's ease of use. And RICOH has did a great job, and I hope that RICOH could constantly evolving the THETA X to make it even much more powerful in the year 2022, considering that there are a lot of new camera coming out. And the year 2022 is definitely an exciting new year for the 360 camera industry with the launch of the THETA X. And that is my in-depth review on the THETA X in February 2022. I will also update new video once we have a major update on this camera model. So if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to thumb up, subscribe, and hit notification bell. And don't forget to refer to the comparison material down in the description. Stay safe, see you next time. Bye.